Authentic experiencers are a little bit more towards nature than they are to people, and that's certainly coming out here. Okay. So I challenge you to go back and look at your visual assets, all of your pictures. Do they show people actually in the experience, enjoying it? Are they showing crowds of people? Are they showing the right type of people doing the right things? Is it close up? No, all of those sorts of things. Start looking at your pictures, at your visual assets, given the explorer type you're going after. So let's talk a little bit about earned media and public relations. Some of the things that we've been talking about so far are very much about what you are doing and saying. This is where we start talking about what others say about you. So one of the things, actually, to just do a bit more background. When you're getting public relations, earned media, it's a PR type term. I'm sure many of you get approached and people are looking for a fam trip. Oh, I'm writing an article and I'm going to feature you guys, all those sorts of things. Well, how do you assess whether or not that's going to be a good thing for you? Certainly, does it mesh? So what experiences has the writer written about? And if they've written about experiences that are similar to yours, or experiences that appeal to a cultural explorer, if that's who you're going after, whatever your explorer type is, read their pieces and, yeah, this guy actually writes very much as though he was a cultural explorer, or that sort of thing, even if it's not directly on your experience, chances are pretty good, so you can give him a pretty high score. Yeah, how well to the score target type, just mentioned that one. What magazine is he or she writing for? Is it a magazine? Is it a newspaper that actually appeals to your target type? Is it an outdoor magazine, top 10 lists, all those sorts of things, Free Spirit? Is it Canadian Geographic? Very much there for the cultural explorer and authentic experiencer. Just again, doing your research. Is it a spec piece or has the magazine commissioned it? If it's a spec piece, who knows if it's going to get in? So you've done all this research, he can write and he's written for these different things, but he's doing this on spec. So maybe not quite as good an opportunity for you as if it's actually being a commissioned piece. So high score of commission. And the reason I'm suggesting you actually do all this, and I'm assuming you probably do think through these questions and probably some others, but the key here is to bring in the EQ lens, the explorer lens to all of this, is that you think it's not costing you anything, but it is. You're subsidizing the writer, you're spending your resources, and you want to make sure you're going to get something in return. And if you're going after a cultural explorer, but he tends to write for no hassle travelers, or free spirits maybe, and it's all, up, and all those sorts of things, there's not a match there. So is it really worth your investment? It's just something to consider in your toolkit. Because, they say all press is good press. Not necessarily. And again, how much are you paying for it? Exactly. So if we look at earned media in terms of advocacy, now this is the stuff you really can't control, because this is what your customers are saying about you. Overall, this is the total sample long haul pleasure travelers. You've got almost like 85% talk to their family and friends about their trips. So there's some people who really don't do that. And then posting photos online, Flickr, Facebook, all those sorts of things, Picasa. Some people will tell people only if they ask. Authentic experiencers actually go a little bit higher on this one. Write trip in the social media blog. Twitter, Facebook, blog about the trip on TripAdvisor, or only tell people if they've had a negative experience. So these are the different ways of looking at advocacy. It's not just word of mouth, but word of mouth how. All right? All of the core traveler segments, EQ segments that the CTC is going after and that you guys are going after actually score highly, more highly than the overall average. Measuring success. Okay. Touch on a few things here. There's both formal and informal ways of measuring success. So formal would include things like web analytics. So on your website, I'm sure you're capturing an awful lot of data. Are you using Google Analytics even? I mean, that's a pretty easy platform to use. It's not the most in-depth in the world, but it gives you an awful lot of information, and it's better than no information. It can tell you about how the number of visits coming to your website, where they're coming from, where they're going to, all of those sorts of things, so you have a better understanding. Emails, if you're sending out emails, if you have a customer list and you're sending out emails, what kind of open rates are you getting? What kind of click-through rates to your website are you getting? All of those sorts of things. Are you getting unsubscribe rates? So your email list is aging or your content isn't relevant to those people. Or are you getting people forwarding on? Does your email program allow you to actually track that people are forwarding on? So there again, we talked about advocacy. Are these people actually letting other people know what's going on and tracking that? Satisfaction surveys, customer satisfaction surveys. Generally, most programs are a more formal approach. It could be that you're sending people email after asking them to complete a survey. It might be that you hand them something at the end of the experience and ask them to complete it, or it could be that you have a comment and suggestion card program at your site that people will fill in and provide you with information. They run a gamut, but again, are you doing those sorts of things? So these are the more formal and visible ways of looking at measuring your success. Some of the more informal really do base themselves on listening. Listening and observing are a key way to really gain a better understanding of what's working and what isn't. If you have a guest book, what are the comments that are coming out in your guest book? What are people talking about? Those are some of the highlights. If you're thinking of changing your experience and everyone's talking about something that is so great, you don't want to be changing that. You certainly don't, if you're going to change it, you're going to boost it. You're not going to really mess it up. Are they saying, if only, it was great, able to? Are there some things you could maybe add to that would make sense, or a natural extension? Again, what's the value add there?